Hey, hello, everybody. This is Ralph, and I am a recovering alcoholic. I started sobering up back in 2006, back in December of 2006. That was my Christmas present to myself that year. And I've been remaining sober ever since. So I've got going on 20 years of sobriety under my belt. But what I thought I would start doing on video is my way of kind of sharing and paying it all back. What I'm going to be doing is doing a series of videos about recovery. I think I'll just call it simply Recovery Talk. But in this first video, I want to talk about addiction. You know, what addiction is, and the fact that addiction is just so darn prevalent. I know there are a lot of people out there who are suffering from addiction who don't really know that they are suffering from addiction. They know that there's something wrong in their life. They know their life is out of control. They just don't really know why. And we live in a day and age where people can suffer from multiple addictions. You've got the obvious addictions, the ones that are easy to spot, like, my favorite one, alcoholism. You get drunk every day or most every day. You show up drunk or hungover for work. You get a few DWIs. You start doing crazy things. You start getting in trouble with your family, with the law, things like that. You start losing jobs. You start losing careers. You start losing wives. You start losing your children. And man, it becomes kind of obvious after a while that you've got a real serious problem. So yeah, alcoholism, the big one. Tobacco use, smoking, another obvious one. Illegal drug use or legal drug use. And I mean, this is one that people can play around with and deny, like any addiction, for a certain length of time. But I mean, yes, those are more the obvious addictions that we spot. But there are less obvious addictions, less obvious traps that people can fall into. And online addiction is a real thing. Sexual addiction is a real thing. Online porn addiction is a real thing. And just the other day, I looked up online to see if we had any 12-step groups out there yet that were formed to help people with artificial intelligence addiction. And yeah, we've only had artificial intelligence for really a couple of years since it's gone mainstream. We actually have had artificial intelligence used in the government and military sectors since the 1950s, I believe. But it wasn't until about 2 or 3 years ago that AI went mainstream. And yes, we already have groups, 12-step groups set up to help people fight addictions to artificial intelligence. We got people out there that are just building their entire life around AI. They can't do anything until they consult their AI chatbot. We've even got people out there who are marrying artificial intelligence, for crying out loud. So kind of a blend of internet addiction, online addiction, artificial intelligence addiction, sexual addiction, electronic addiction, all rolled up into one, with people creating humanoid robots, falling in love with them, powering them with AI, and then wanting to marry that creation. And I mean, it's just all over the place now. It's going to be hard for people to tell whether or not they are addicted to something. It took me a long time to admit that I was addicted to alcohol because in my mind, I thought that alcohol was just a tool, a crutch, something that helped me get by, something that helped me make my way through life. And back when I was 20, I would be telling my family, there's nothing wrong with me that a 12-pack of beer can't cure. And I had my family telling me I needed AA. I needed to get into a good 12-step group. I needed to get into recovery. And my pat answer was, there's nothing wrong with me that a 12-pack of beer can't cure. And I mean, it was obvious that I needed help. I just couldn't see it. And then the 12-pack became a case. The case became a mixture of a case of beer mixed with a liter of the hard stuff, either whiskey or vodka. Vodka was one of my, not really my favorite drink, but I would drink it because I thought people couldn't smell it on my breath. And yeah, obviously it turns out that they could smell it on my breath. But yeah, I would be drinking the vodka instead of the whiskey because I thought people couldn't smell it on me. But I mean, yeah, I was drinking about 18 beers a day when I finally quit, plus a liter of the hard stuff. It's a miracle that I still have a liver, folks. But I mean, yeah, I was that far addicted. And it wasn't until I got to the bottom that I really realized and admitted that I need help. And I finally got sober using 3 tools that I used. Tools that did not master me, but tools that I used to master my addiction to alcoholism and finally recover from it. But I mean, those 3 tools were the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, going to online meetings every day. And I chose online because instead of face to face, because for me it made sense. Not because I was trying to hide anything, but because I live in an area where local AA meetings, not AA meetings, where local AA meetings were very difficult to find. You know, we live out in the boondocks. You have to go about a 120-mile round trip to get into the nearest city to find an AA meeting hall where you can be attending AA meetings any hour of any day. Online AA is different. You can be attending a meeting every hour, practically, of every day if you need to. And I mean, it's so easy to do. So I chose online AA. And then the third tool that I used to help me get into recovery and stay in recovery from my alcohol addiction was meditation. So those 3 things, going through the 12 steps of AA every day and working those steps to the best of my ability. Online AA, so I could be making some human contact with other real life alcoholics and addicts that were in recovery or wanting to get into recovery that I could talk to and get help from and maybe give help to as well. And then meditation, just me getting in conscious contact with my higher power on a daily basis, and I did it 3 times a day in the beginning, and to give me the strength and the wisdom that I needed to stay sober for that one day. So following that simple program of recovery, I've been able to get almost 20 years of sobriety under my belt. So there is hope. There are tools that you can use. But there are other people out there. There are other addictions out there that we can think of as being tools and which can be tools. Used the right way, but abused, they can become addictive substances or addictive behaviors. And of course, sometimes when I tell my story of recovery, I'll be talking to people who think that they're normal, so-called normal people, and they'll be listening to my story of alcohol addiction and recovery, and they'll be thinking, well, I don't have a problem with addiction. And then they'll stop to think, okay, I don't have a problem with addiction to alcohol, but I do smoke 3 or 4 packs of cigarettes every day. Is that not addiction? I was talking with a man once who was listening to my story, thought he didn't have a problem with addiction. And then by the time I got done telling him my story, he had to stop and think. And he thought, well, I do go through 4 liters of Mountain Dew every day. Is that not an addictive behavior? There are many things that we can be addicted to. Something that you are powerless over. Something that you swear, I'm going to cut back. or I'm going to quit doing this, or I'm going to do less of it. And then you find out you're powerless to say no to it. Well, that's either an addictive substance that you've got on your hands or an addictive behavior that you're engaged with. And addictive behaviors can be all over the place. We got people suffering from sexual addiction. We got people suffering from food addictions of one sort or another. We got people suffering from, what is it? The addiction I was just thinking of was on the tip of my mind, and I lost it right now. But a gambling addiction, that's it. People that think, I go to the casino to gamble just to relax, or I go to the casino online just to relax. Before you know it, they're doing it every single day. They're powerless to stop it. They're losing their life savings, and they don't know what they can do to stop. You've got addictions to social media, online addictions, and yes, even addiction to AI, where people are using AI every day to run every facet of their lives, and they're letting AI replace their normal human contacts. And I mean, that's really been a big one with the push for AI, hasn't it been? That we can use AI to replace people. We can use AI to replace teachers. We can use AI to replace psychologists. We can use AI to replace tax consultants. We can use AI to replace workers at fast food restaurants and things like that. We can automate and everything using AI, so we no longer need these human relationships. And yes, we even got people who are using AI chatbots as girlfriends, as boyfriends, replacing intimate human relationships with bots. Is this healthy behavior? Or is this electronic addiction? I'm not here to say that anyone is an addict, an alcoholic, even an AI addict, but I have had enough recovery time under my belt where I can begin to see certain behaviors that throw up real red flags with me. Red flags that tell me that that is definitely an addictive behavior, that could be an addictive thing that a person is getting into, but ultimately it's up to every human being to make that decision for themselves, to ask themselves the serious question, do I use the tool or does the tool use me? Am I the master of the tool or has the tool become my master? And with me, alcohol. Alcohol definitely was my master. I couldn't see it in the beginning. Back in my 20s, I was definitely under the influence of alcohol almost every single day. It was my master. And it wasn't until I was the tender age of 45 that I finally woke up and admitted, this is out of control. I need to take certain steps to get back in control. And I know there are a lot of other people out there that can say the same thing, either with alcohol, with drugs, or even with electronic media. People who are on social media every hour of every day, they swear they're going to cut back. But I mean, they just get addicted to the so-called news, the outrage, the algorithmic manipulation of their emotions, as I like to call it. And they just get so attached to it that they become addicted to it. And I've heard people say, I'm going to cut back. I'm going to take a day off of social media. I'm going to take a few hours off of social media. And they say they're going to do it, but they never really do it. And I mean, it just gets to the point, and I've been there myself when it comes to social media addiction. That's been another one of my struggles that I have to admit. It was hard for me to admit it in the beginning. But I mean, I can be on social media every hour of every day because I'm an online entrepreneur, okay? And I also like using social media. And I mean, I like working my business. But all of those things can become addictions. I know other online entrepreneurs that have been grinding 7 days a week, working social media, promoting their online opportunity. They're on social media every day saying, it's Monday, I'm grinding. It's Sunday, I'm grinding. It's Saturday, I'm grinding. They're just grinding 7 days a week. And some of these people have been doing it for 10, 15, 20 years, still grinding every single day, building their business online. And I mean, I would think that you should be able to get to a point where you've built up your business. You can take some time away from the grind. You can enjoy some time off, spend time with your family. And yet, a lot of people, they are just addicted to the grind. And I've had members of my family who are addicted to grinding away at work. Not online addiction to work, but addiction to work in the real world. I knew a guy who was a neighbor of mine a few years ago. He died not too long ago. But I mean, he was addicted to alcohol. He was on a wide variety of prescription drugs. I don't know if he was addicted to any of those or not, but he was definitely addicted to the alcohol. And he was addicted to his job. He also had a sex addiction that he was dealing with or ignoring. Sometimes dealing with it, sometimes ignoring it. And he was married. But he had a job as a truck driver, which gave him the ability to be away from home, 5 days a week, be off in the hotels drinking, be off at the truck stops, doing the beaver scouting, and just engaging in his addictions. And I mean, he spent years and years and years of his life indulging the sex addiction, the alcohol addiction, the work addiction, because it was his life as a truck driver that he really loved, and which really gave him the ability to fund all of his other addictions and the time and the freedom and the space he needed to engage in those other addictions. But I mean, yeah, he got to the point where, I mean, he hired me to babysit his dogs after his wife died. And that's really a sad story in itself, because his wife was waiting for him to retire so that they could enjoy their few remaining years that they had in life together. And I mean, he was just maybe 2 or 3 years away from retirement when she died of a massive heart attack. And I mean, it was just sudden. It was like one day she was doing fine. Next day she was lying on the floor dead. And I mean, it really was a shocker. But I mean, yeah, he was so addicted to his job, being away from home. He could have retired early. Instead, he chose to retire late. But after his wife died, while he was still engaging with his primary addictions, he hired me to take care of his dogs. And he showed me around his house. He showed off his collection that he had of beer, wine, whiskey. Didn't have any vodka. He was more of a whiskey guy. But I mean, he had alcohol stockpiled to where he could retire immediately and drink every day and probably not run out of alcohol for months. He was that well stocked. And he also had a stockpile of coffee. I mean, this guy, he was kind of like a prepper. He had all kinds of food, all kinds of coffee, but he was really big on prepping with alcohol. I mean, after World War III, he could have successfully opened up a liquor store out of his house and done a pretty fair business with that. But I mean, yes, this guy was just some piece of work. And the thing is, he never did recover. He did retire after his wife died. He reached retirement age. He found a way to keep on working anyway with the same company, pushed it another couple of years, and then retired. And then within a year, he was gone. He drank himself to death. So, I mean, that's the ultimate price that we pay for our addictions. Or we get into recovery. But I mean, this guy had a lot of classic addictions. And he really couldn't recognize it. He just thought that this makes me happy, this is what I do, and it's not causing that much trouble. Until something major happens, like your wife dies, and you realize you didn't spend enough time with her. Or your liver gives out, and you realize you spent too much time with the vodka, or the whiskey, or the beer. And, I mean, yeah, it's just, there are some times when we use these things as tools, and they're helpful. And then there are times when the tool becomes the master, and the master takes over our lives. And we can see this in the lives of alcoholics. We can see this in the lives of drug addicts. And I believe we can also see this in the lives of modern day technological addicts, people who are addicted to internet, technology, artificial intelligence, the whole ball of wax. Because these things seem to be tools. And they are tools. They can be used as perfect tools to help you run a business from home. That's what I use them for, running my business from home. But there comes a time where the tool can become your master. And when you get to the point to where AI is replacing all of your human relationships, when you get to the point where you find it difficult to share something online without running it through an AI bot first, without having your content generated by AI in some way, without, even posting pictures of yourself. When you find that you really can't post a picture of yourself without having it enhanced by AI in some way to make you look more beautiful, more handsome, more attractive, maybe 30 years younger, maybe with an Arnold Schwarzenegger type physique. Yeah, I've done that. It's fun. But some people, it gets to be an addiction. They don't know how to post to social media without the AI. And it just comes to the point where, with a lot of people, where they use their AI twin on social media so much, so many times, that you're just asking yourself, where has the real person gone? And sometimes I want to just look at that AI social media avatar that some folks online have generated, and the AI generated videos that they put out, and just ask them, okay, who are you? What have you done to Fred? I mean, people have just replaced not only their other human relationships with AI, but they've begun to replace their own personality and their own persona with AI. Now, is this addictive behavior? To me, it raises multiple red flags, but not necessarily is it an addictive behavior. Again, I'm not here to tell anybody that they are an AI addict or an alcoholic or any other kind of addict. That is something you have to decide for yourself in conjunction with your own conscience, with your family, with your healthcare officials, with your higher power of your understanding. But I mean, I can see a lot of addictive behavior out there online. And if we're not careful, anybody, and I mean anybody, can get to the point where something that they're using, either as a tool or as a crutch, can become the master of their lives. And one of the key red flags is when your usage of the substance or the behavior of your choice starts replacing normal human relationships. That is a definite red flag of addiction. And we see this in spades with AI. We see people who are not out there in the normal world courting. Young people used to court, as we used to say in my generation, used to go out on dates and, engage in, romantic behavior and things like that. Well, nowadays, you can do all that with technology. You can generate an AI girlfriend, an AI boyfriend. You can, generate a lot of AI porn. You can use AI to replace other human relationships besides love and romance. We got AI replacing teachers, AI replacing psychologists, AI replacing mentors, AI replacing spiritual advisors. And when we get to the point where you've got an AI bot that you cannot make a move without, that's replacing your teacher, your mentor, your spiritual advisor, your wife, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your husband, your tax preparer. When AI has replaced most every human relationship in your life, and you feel like you can't make a move without it, then I would ask the question, is that an addiction? And yes, I think it can be. When the tool becomes the master, that is a classic sign of addiction and the person being dominated by what used to be seen as a handy tool. So, what can be done about this? If you feel like you've gone down the rabbit hole of addiction without realizing it, you're not alone. And really, I would say there's probably nothing wrong with you outside of your addiction. We all get involved with addictive substances or addictive behaviors at one point or another. The smart people learn to recognize it sooner than later, and they master themselves. They master the tool rather than letting the tool master them. Other people, myself included, obviously, are not that smart. We get involved in addictive substances or addictive behaviors. We go down that rabbit hole of addiction, denying that we are addicted every step of the way. And then suddenly we wake up one day and we realize you've lost your wife, you've lost your husband, you've lost your children, you've lost many friends, you've lost jobs, you've lost money, you've lost time. You've replaced your personality with something that, is no longer you, and you feel powerless to stop it. And that's where getting involved with a good 12-step group is important. And there are 12-step groups out there that cover everything. I mean, you've got 12-step groups out there, obviously, for alcoholism. Alcoholics Anonymous, a great 12-step group. You've got Narcotics Anonymous for people who are addicted to drugs, narcotics, things like that. And you've got Online Addicts Anonymous. You've got what do they call themselves? I just found this group not too long ago, but Internet Technology Addicts Anonymous, ITAA. And I mean, they've got their own 12 steps. They've got the 12 traditions that they've reworded for, internet and technology addiction. And I mean, they've got a great network of support in that group. So whatever your addiction may be, you can find a group that specializes in helping you recover. And they all use, in one form or another, the same 12 steps. And I'm going to end this presentation by reading those 12 steps. Now, they will change the wording of some of the steps. Instead of saying we admitted we're powerless over alcohol, they'll be saying we admitted we are powerless over the internet, over AI, we are powerless over sex, powerless over gambling, powerless over food, whatever the thing is. But it's the same core 12 steps. And so what I'm going to do here, from chapter 5 of the big books of Alcoholics Anonymous, I'm going to read through the 12 steps for alcohol recovery. But whatever your addiction is, whatever you think your addiction might be, you can use the same 12 steps, just substituting a few key words. So here it is, the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, a great program of recovery for anyone that feels the need to use it. Step 1. We admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. Step 2. Came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Step 3. Made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him. Step 4. Made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. Step 5. Admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. Step 6. We're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. Step 7. Humbly asked Him, our higher power, to remove our shortcomings. Step 8. Made a list of all persons that we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. Step 9. Made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. Step 10. Continued to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. Step 11. Sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. And then finally, step 12. Having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all of our affairs. In other words, you get the gift of sobriety, you enjoy the gift of sobriety, you start passing it on to other people who are still suffering. And these 12 steps, we are not called to work them perfectly. It says later on in chapter 5 of the big book, how it works, that we don't claim to be perfect, but we do strive towards perfection. What we want is progress, not necessarily perfection. None of us are perfect, but we can make daily progress. And so that's what we strive to do. We take the challenge of living according to the 12 steps, and then we ask ourselves, how can I put this into action today? What step am I working on today? What steps do I need to improve on today? And then focus not on spiritual perfection, but on making daily progress along spiritual lines. And I mean, these steps, they can work for anybody. I've been in AA groups that were full of, Christians, Jews, Muslims, atheists and agnostics, Buddhists, Hindus, recovering pastors, recovering Seventh-day Adventists, recovering Baptist ministers. I mean, yeah, it can work for anybody. You just have to humbly admit that you are powerless over your addiction, and that there is one person that can give you the power over that addiction, and that is your higher power. Whether you say you believe in God or not, we all believe in a power greater than ourselves. And what we need to do to recover from addiction, work on our own spiritual growth, work on the 12 steps, connect with the higher power of our understanding, however that may look for us, and start attending regular 12-step meetings. whether you do it face-to-face, online, whatever works for you. I think for the average person, for the typical addict, finding face-to-face meetings is the most powerful. However, if you live in an area like I do, where meetings are hard to come by, online's your next best bet. And I've used online to recover in my own life. So I mean the core of things to work on for anybody new to recovery. What got me through 20 years of recovery are the big three, 12 steps, work on that, making meetings, either in person or online, and then meditation. Those three right there. It's kind of like the Holy Trinity. 12 steps, making 12-step meetings, meditation on a daily basis. And it's when I started working that program that I started gaining in sobriety. Back when I was 45, almost 20 years ago, I found it hard to stack up even a couple days clean and sober from my addiction. But then just working that simple program of recovery, reaching out to other alcoholics, working the 12 steps, daily time in meditation, I began to get a few days of recovery. Days became weeks, the weeks became months, the months became years. Slowly, the years have become decades, almost 2 decades now. So yeah, recovery is possible. You can start at any age. I know a lot of people get started in recovery when they're young. I kind of envy them, actually, because I wasted so much of my life, so much of my younger years, throwing it away on alcohol and other addictions. And I didn't start sobering up till 45. But then there are a lot of people who never find sobriety. People who die in their 60s, their 70s, still engaging in their addictive behavior or their addictive substance of choice. And I mean, people that find recovery, take advantage of it. Use the program to the best of their ability to start stacking up days of sobriety. You're blessed. And you can be blessed. You can become blessed. One day at a time. Just say to yourself, okay, if you recognize something of yourself in my story and the other stories that I've shared, if you believe that it is possible that maybe something that you're doing has gone out of hand and you're now powerless to stop it, there is a program of recovery out there. Get involved with a good 12-step group. Tell yourself, I'm not going to do it this one day. Start setting barriers for yourself. If your addiction is social media addiction or online addiction, then start setting limits. Start saying, I'm not going to do it on Saturday, or I'm not going to do it on Sunday, or I'm going to do it for only a few hours. I'm going to do it for this reason. And then I'm going to spend the rest of my time with friends, with family, being outside in nature, touching grass. Start setting boundaries and start respecting those boundaries and start spending time with other people who can help you by sharing their own experience, strength, and hope in setting up those boundaries. When it comes to substances, like drugs and alcohol, complete abstinence is the best policy. Now, when it comes to other things, like sex addiction, online addiction, food addiction, I don't know of anybody that can give up eating for the rest of their lives. They're going to have kind of a short lifespan if they do that. You can give up alcohol forever and ever and ever, one day at a time, but you can't give up eating for the rest of your life. You could, but rest of your life's not going to be that long if you do. So we have to find some way to moderate the addictive behavior in those instances. And finding the right 12-step group where you're talking with people who have experience dealing with those addictions and addictive behaviors. Those are the people you need to start reaching out to and talking to to help you master your own addiction. But yeah, I think a lot of us have been there. We start using something as a tool, and we think we're the master of that tool. And we use it proudly. We think we're using it wisely. We think we're smart. We think we're clever. And then over time, we cross a line. For a lot of us, we don't know exactly when we cross that line. But we get to a point where a line has been crossed, where we are no longer the master of the tool. The tool has become the master of us. And people who are humble enough and wise enough to be able to spot that in their own lives, that is the time you need to humbly admit that you are no longer in control of the tool and start reaching out to other people who will help you find control over that tool again and help you regain some sanity in your own life. Okay, I think I've rambled on long enough here. This is Ralph signing out. Again, if you want any resources about AA, online addictions, things like that, reach out to me wherever you're seeing this and let me know. I can shoot you what information that I have. You can find a lot of information online. Just Google it, just search it. But if you feel like your life is out of control, there is a program of recovery out there. It's been around for almost 100 years now, and it's available to all. Grab it by the horns and use it, and take control back over your life. Ralph saying goodbye. We'll talk soon. Have a good one, everybody. Bye-bye.